Good evening. Welcome to In Our Community. I'm your guest host tonight, John Waller, and my guest tonight is Sal Dossani. He is the author of this awesome book called A Simple Life, which you will find out about in the next few minutes, how this can impact your life. Sal, welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you, John.
Tell me, what is a simple life?
A simple life is a purpose-driven life, in a sense. If people do a lot of things in their life, and then at the tail end they find out that they're not happy. They've accomplished a lot, but they don't have an inner sense of purpose or inner happiness. So I wrote this book, A Simple Life, to give people an idea how to simplify your life so that you can focus in on what you truly want inside. And one of the ways of doing that is to let go of extraneous things, things that are not meaningful to you, things that may impress others, but don't necessarily make you happy. So that was the reason I wrote the book, A Simple Life.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay. The way it came about was some years back, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, 3 or 4 of my friends said that maybe I should write a book, something along these lines. At that time, I had a group going on at my home of people, like-minded people who were studying spiritual materials. And so I was sort of the guide. And they said, maybe you should write it. And I thought to myself, and I said, you know, my life is already pretty complicated. And I don't want to do it because it'll add on another layer of complication, and it won't be simple. So I gave up on the idea. But then 3 or 4 months later, another group of friends said the same exact thing, that I should write a book along these lines. And so I took it as coming from perhaps a higher source. And so I sat down to write. And it took me about, actually it took me only 3 months to write the book, but it took me 3 to 4 years to edit it.
Wow.
So that, yeah, that's the process.
Are you proud of what you've got here in the green cover?
Yes. I've written most of the things that people can read and understand. And you read a lot of spiritual books, and sometimes they're fairly complicated, and they have a lot of jargon in them. So what I did was I came from a place that is simple to read, easy to understand, and it may sometimes make you maybe a little bit upset. Like if you talk about reincarnation in a place in a Western society or karma, people don't like that idea. But if you look at the word karma, it's similar to the Western idea of what you sow is what you reap. And then there are many similar ideas in Eastern and Western philosophy that are similar, but they use different words. So I took mostly the idea behind the principles, the spiritual principles, and then put it in such a way that people could absorb it and then live the life according to it. Many people try to live life in a way that's may seem quote-unquote spiritual, but it turns out they're trying to impress someone rather than be genuine and true to themselves. So that is very important, not to do that, and I made a point of it in my book.
Awesome. What kind of feedback have you gotten from people that have read your book?
My students or the people that I guided, they say it's very simple and very clear, but it's not easy. So it's a simple life is simple, but it's not easy because you have to change a lot of your inner ideas. The ideas that we have in life that if someone harms us, we should not forget it. People take it as a given. But actually, when you hold a hostile thought, an angry thought in your mind, you're harming yourself. I explained that to my 9-year-old niece. She was very upset with someone. She says, this girl was really mad at me, and I got really upset, and I'm so angry with her at school. So I said, why are you angry? She said, well, she did this to me. I said, well, if you hold the anger, does it make you happy? She said, well, I'm right to do this. So I said, okay, think of that girl. She said, okay. Now, feel the anger that you feel for her. She said, okay. And said, do you feel happy? She said, no, I don't feel happy. So you see, when you hold any negative thoughts in your mind or your heart, you harm yourself first. You may harm the other person as well because energy spreads out. And if you're hostile to another person sitting in front of them, they will feel it and they'll get upset. They'll harm them. But first of all, it'll harm you. So it's very important to let go of negative emotions and negative thoughts and feelings, because you don't want to harm yourself. That's the first thing.
So it impacts our health.
Impacts our health, our emotions, our success, because when you are unhappy yourself, people pick it up. Whoever you are, people pick it up. They may not say something to you clearly, but they know if you are safe or not safe. If you are with a person and they feel unsafe, you know, they will withdraw. And the ideas you hold in your mind and your heart are the ideas they pick up subconsciously, and they react to you subconsciously. You may think, why is this person being so hostile to me? And maybe you don't like that person, so they'll pick it up, you know.
Excellent, interesting. Yeah. How does it benefit us to make our lives simple, Sal?
Okay. If we make our lives simple, then as we go through life, you'll find that you won't have to constantly think about, is what I'm doing worth it? Or is this my purpose? You will know what your purpose is when your life is simple. You don't have extraneous things you're doing. You're just focusing on what is meaningful to you. When you do that, you become a genuine person. And when you're genuine, not only are you happy, but the people around you are happy. I'm sure you have many loved ones, and sometimes you get into a fight or an argument or things like that. But if they know that you're coming from a genuine place, then it's very easy to let go, forgive. You don't have to make a big idea about you did this wrong or you did that wrong. You say, okay, this happens, you know. We forgive and forget and we move on.
Sounds like a simple life keeps the drama out of our lives.
That's the big point, yes, okay. Drama. People love drama, as you know. I mean, they will watch soap operas all day long, and they'll watch murder mysteries, and they'll stop by if there's an accident, they'll stop and they'll watch what's going on. And you know, it's just like because they want excitement in their lives. Mm-hmm. But that's not good for you. I mean, a certain amount is of course necessary, otherwise you'd be living a very dull life.
Right.
But to get excitement from other people's miseries, other people's difficulties, is something we accept and enjoy without realizing it. And that harms us and harms them.
Gotcha.
And it's not simple.
What else can we do to make our lives simpler?
Well, you know, spirituality is very important. And a lot of people think that religion and spirituality are the same thing. Actually, it's not. Spirituality is the essence of a religion, any religion, be it Christianity or Buddhism or Hinduism or any other religion. The essence of every religion is the same, and that is to seek our purpose and align with our higher self, And when we do that, then we are living our religion to its truest and fullest extent. A lot of people, what they do is they take the religion and use it as a stick. My religion is better than your religion. And therefore you are wrong and I'm right. And so it falls into the category of better than competitiveness. We are pretty much competitive in our lives, as you know. We all are. We have to be to a certain extent to get ahead in our material life. But then we take that idea of competitiveness and we apply it to our inner life as well, and it doesn't work there. Just imagine that if you were very thirsty and in a desert, and you came across a stream of water, and you did what people normally do, grab at it, you went like this, what would happen? You'd have a few drops of water clinging to your fingers, and you wouldn't be able to slake your thirst. But if you allow your hands, your cupped hands, to lower itself into the water, it will fill itself by itself, and you can drink it. So if you make yourself clean inwards, you know, and a genuine true person, and let go of all the turmoil and turbulence and drama, then what you're doing is you're creating an allowance in your life. And that allowingness, that's the true spirit, true genuine truth, just come into your life. It allows love to come into your life. It allows happiness to come into your life. It allows right relationships to come into your life. It allows the right job, work to come into your life. Sometimes you may make a lot of money at a job, but it may not make you happy. So that's not the right job for you. It's not the right work for you.
So that's all in here?
It's all in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us some more about the book.
Well, there is one area that I think you asked me about, which is levels of consciousness. So there's a great spiritual teacher. His name is Dr. Hawkins, and he came up with the idea of levels of consciousness. Each human being is at a certain level of understanding of life. And the way he wrote it up was it goes from 0 to 1,000. It's similar to the Indian system of chakras, but he made it Western in the sense that he's given it numbers. So the first chakra is like 100, second chakra is 200, third chakra is 300, and so on, up till the seventh chakra is 700. And then it moves on, he goes beyond to the other realms, 8, 9, and 100 and 1,000. Now, there are only like a handful of people, maybe like 10, 15 people who are enlightened on this planet, as you may call it. And they calibrate at 600 and above. 85% of the people calibrate below 200. And 200 and below is a level of deceit and dishonesty.
Ouch.
But in the U.S., only about 50% calibrate below 200. Another 50% calibrate more or less above 200. So most of the people here are more decent and genuine and spiritual than in other parts of the world. Even though they may not think of themselves as spiritual, but they are. If you're a decent, genuine human being, you are a spiritual human being. If you're an unkind, hostile person, you're not. Now, that doesn't mean that every once in a while you may not have a hostile or angry thought. That doesn't pull you down. It just, it's just a modality. It's just something that comes up. So we just let it go. But most people reside at either 200, 300, or 400 at some certain level.
And you had mentioned to me that 500 is love.
Yes, Dr. Hawkins says that the level of, when someone reaches the level of 500, he's at the level of love. And at 540, he's at the level of unconditional love, and at that level, he has accomplished his task on this planet.
Where was Jesus at?
He was at 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So
now, I noticed one of the two people in the book that you dedicated to was Dr. Hawkins.
Yes. And Dr. Hawkins himself calibrates in the high 900s.
Wow.
And the other teacher I dedicated to also calibrate in the high 900s. So these are extraordinary people. And in the past 2,000 years, there's only been perhaps 2 or 3 people who have calibrated in the high 900s. And these two, Dr. Hawkins and Idris Shah, are the 2 of them. Now, I'm not talking about the apostles because they calibrate in the 900s too. They calibrate in the 900s because they are very close to Jesus. So the imprint of his aura changed them. If you're in the company of someone who's highly spiritual, then you will pick up their spiritual aura, and your own aura will move up. So if we set aside the apostles, then there have been only 2 or 3 people in the whole 2,000 years that have calibrated this high, which means that at this time, 2 people to calibrate it at that level is a very high level of grace for the human race.
And so it goes in line with what you hear about people talking about, the people that you hang out with the most have the impact on you.
Yes, yes. If you hang out with people who are hostile or angry, it will have a negative impact on you, unfortunately. And if you hang out with people that are high calibration, good, decent, kind people, salt of the earth, it will have positive impact on you.
So if you go to church and you have a pastor that resonates, calibrated very high, and the people that are at the church, and that's a good place for you to be.
Definitely. Generally, people who are not kind people won't go to church. They won't have much of a purpose to evolve themselves spiritually. And those who do go to church, it means they're paying attention to the inner spiritual life, and that's important.
I mean, this is amazing. Has anybody written you or made a comment like on Amazon as far as how the book is had like a life-altering experience for them?
Unfortunately, I haven't gone there and read it myself. I should do that.
Okay.
I will check it
So
out.
tell me about your journey.
My journey, I think it started when I was about 5 years old. And my inner life was very turbulent. The outer life, when people look at me, they say, okay, you seem to have a okay, normal, decent life. But the inner life was turbulent because I challenged a lot of the things that I grew up with, beliefs, like if someone does you wrong, then you should, return the favor, so to speak. And or if you're trying to get ahead in life, you should do everything you can to get ahead in life. These are some of the things that there were constant challenges of belief and of purpose that I looked at in my own life. If I walked down the street and if I felt angry, I would instantly look at it and see where did it come from. And initially I would think the other person did this, therefore I was angry. But the true fact is that every feeling that you feel comes from yourself. You have a choice whether to feel that feeling or not. No matter what another person does, if a person says or does something so objectionable that you're angry, you are still the person who's angry. He didn't make you angry.
You own it.
You own it. And to get to that place of responsibility takes a long, long time. Intellectually, you can arrive at that place fairly quickly by accepting it on belief and faith that you are responsible for your own life. But living it is a harder task, because living it means that every time it comes up, you look at it. Now, in our day-to-day life, we hardly have so much time to do that, because if you're at work and someone says something, and the boss comes along and asks you to do something, and you say, wait, let me figure this out and process this before I answer your question. You can't do that. So normally it's a good idea to go at the end of the day to look back at your life for that day and see what went on that made you unhappy, what went on that made you happy, and try to resolve it. The negative things that you look at are very important to do. So you look at the negative stuff and you say, okay, I was angry here, and I shouldn't have been angry. So in that case, what you can do is you can apologize to that person in your heart. And when you sincerely do that, the energy of that apology reaches out. I'll tell you a story. I was working with someone who was sexually abused as a child. And she was very upset with her mother, not at her uncle who had done this. And I asked her, why are you not upset at your uncle and at your mother? She said, because I don't expect anything from him, but my mother should have protected me. So we went through a whole process, and finally she was able to forgive her mother. And then what happened was 3 or 4 weeks later they met at a party, and normally what would have happened was each person would have gone their separate way. But such an unusual thing happened, she told me later, that they saw each other from across the room. Instead of going in separate ways, they both came together and hugged each other and both started crying. And no word was spoken between them during those 3 weeks. So often, if you have a genuine transformation in your heart, it does relay itself to the person you're having that, interaction with.
That's awesome.
So if you do forgive someone in your heart genuinely, then it does change you, and it changes the other person too. Now, one way of checking to see if you have forgiven the person or not is to forgive the person, then in your mind, you hug them, give them a hug. And if you see any hesitation, it means you haven't forgiven the person fully. So you have to do it until you're sure, and you can go up and hug that person and feel that it's genuine, that you're really able to express affection and love for that person. Then you have forgiven that person. And then your life becomes clearer and simpler.
That's something I noticed in the book about how you talk about how our beliefs impact our health. That's exactly what you're saying, because that impacts the health of the person with the feelings and the other person as well, and then other people that are impacted by that whole situation.
Yes. You picked it up. Other people are impacted by the situation as well. What goes on in you, if you are a good, kind, loving person, other people will genuinely feel happy around you, and they will also pick up your energy. You become a contributor to life rather than a taker. You see?
And that's how our beliefs contribute to the quality of our life.
Yes, that's
and other people around you, and then you become, like you said, a contributor.
Magnet or
an energy source.
Exactly. Yeah, energy source, a powerful energy source of healing and happiness. Now, the beliefs that we hold, if we hold beliefs like loving beliefs, kind, charitable, thoughtful, grace, all those positive emotions, we hold those beliefs, then our whole health is impacted. We are healthier people. We become healthier physically.
So let me ask you this. So with so many people in hospitals these days, I mean, this information could impact heart disease, cancers.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of things are manifested up here. They're psychosomatic.
Yes, absolutely. Our life is not lived physically. People think it is. But, there was this one author, I don't remember his name, but he had cancer. And they told him that you're going to die within a few months. So he decided he was not going to see those doctors, but he was just going to use laughter therapy. I think you may have heard the story. And within, I think, a year or so, he lived that long, and then his cancer disappeared because he changed his inner mind. And the inner mind changed the physical body.
He was killing himself with his thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
There's another story of a doctor a veterinarian in the 1920s or 30s. He injected a sheep with some tranquilizer because the sheep was so sick it couldn't live. So he wanted to ease its death. But unfortunately, he gave it less tranquilizer than it would take to heal it, to kill it. So when he came back 2 or 3 days later to collect the dead sheep, he found the sheep was just walking around. And so he wrote up a paper saying that sleep heals. This sheep was sleeping for 2 or 3 days, and the body healed itself because there was nothing going on. And other veterinarians said, yes, we have also experienced the same thing. And they've also seen the same thing in human beings. So sleep heals in human beings because there are no negative thoughts going on, you see. So if we get rid of negative thoughts, our physical life improves, our emotional life improves, our spiritual life improves.
So people in our community that are watching this that have issues,
right,
this book can really impact them.
Yes.
Like page 9, there was just to me, I saw on page 9 just some golden nuggets, just some ideas that could impact people's lives. Just reading just one page in the book, it's amazing stuff.
Yes, I've given processes also that you can use yourself to change your inner life. For instance, people, of course, don't like to be embarrassed or shamed or things like that.
Right.
But let's say that is something that's holding you back, right? Then what you can do is say, okay, what if I lost this job? Then you say, okay, I'd have no money. So, well, can you live with that? Yes, because I still have some money in my mortgage account or my savings account or stocks. So, okay, what happens if all of that were gone? Could you still live with that? You say, yes, but then I won't be able to send my kids to the fancy schools I'm sending. So, all right, then if you had to send them to the ordinary school and all of that, could you still live with that? He says, yes, but my wife would probably leave me, and I'd end up alone and homeless. So he said, yes, okay, can you still live with that? Yes, I can live with it. I don't like it, but I could live with it.
So you're breaking it down to its lowest common denominator.
Yes, exactly. And you're seeing that your resilience and your strength and power are so strong that the mental beliefs that are fed to you by society are not true. You can live practically any situation, no matter how fearful, how embarrassing, or how dismissive other people become towards you because of your situation. If you accept it in your mind, then strangely, what happens is that you become stronger, and you find you can live through it, and those situations don't come about because you have accepted it. Much of our life, we deal with situations that we haven't accepted. You may have heard the phrase, what you resist persists.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
Right. So when we don't accept certain ideas, they keep coming back at us. Why? because our goal in life is to evolve spiritually, and the higher self is reminding us this thing has to be resolved somehow or the other. So it keeps coming back until we finally accept it and resolve it. And then it doesn't need to. Yeah. And then we have learned it, exactly. And then it doesn't need to come back.
Okay.
Then we can move to other lessons.
So what do you feel is our purpose here on this planet, and how do we reach that?
Okay. Well, whether you like it or not, my belief is that our purpose here is to align with the higher self, which we call God, to align with the energy of divinity, because we all are divine beings in our own right. We are created by God in His spark, with His energy. So the incipient divinity is present in all of us, but it's not realized yet. So that's our task, to recognize, to allow the divine energy to come about and express itself. And the expression of that energy is love. Now, love is an easy word to say. You know, it's not like, I love you. That's desire. That's not love. People mistake that, you see. That's a desire. I love you is desire, and I can't live without you is desire. It's like more like hopelessness if you cannot have what you want. It's making another person into an object. That's not love. Love is when you feel something for another person that's genuine, and what they do is what you let them do what they want to do to make themselves happy. What makes them happy makes you happy. So you're not holding on to them. If you are in love, if you love someone, you're not holding on to them. So that's our purpose here, is to be a loving, kind, genuine human being.
Awesome. In 30 seconds, how would you suggest to somebody to be happier in life? What would you tell them to be happier in life? To love unconditionally?
Yes. Well, one simple thing I would say is that be kind to people around you. Just be kind. Just practice kindness. And if a negative thought comes up in your mind, try to let it go. Don't dwell on it. Let it go and replace it with a positive thought.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
I highly recommend Sal Dossani's book, A Simple Life. This will definitely impact your life. This is just it's a work of art. There's so many golden nuggets inside this book that it's amazing stuff.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for being on the show tonight. It's great information that you shared so eloquently to help other people on this planet.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Really good stuff. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great information. So good job. Thanks for being here tonight and sharing that.
It's my pleasure being here. It's my pleasure.
Letting people know about your journey.
And maybe I'll write another one after this.
I think you should. It's great. Continue on. Great job. Thank you very much.